How's it going, YouTube? Eric Barnes here today. DIY by Eric Barnes here with my buddy Zach. We built a chop and flip IBC container aquaponics system a couple months ago. This is going to be a 6-month long update, letting everyone know what we've learned along the way and different ways that we would probably have done things differently. Thanks for joining me today, man. Appreciate you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So first question we have, what was the setup like?
Very simple. I mean, if you have like basic knowledge of using tools, we just bought the IBC container, cut this down a little bit further than you'd usually do, but we had to fit it through a door. So we just cut everything down to size, got it in here, put it together. We did have to clean it out because this had olive oil in it. It's a food grade container, so that's one thing you definitely want to look out for is when you're buying an IBC container, you don't want something that's going to be harmful to the fish or the plants later on down the road. So we bought a food grade container with olive oil in it. So really easy. And then just adding to it, you know, getting the clay pellets.
Yeah, it looks great. I love all the things you've changed about it. The back, the border line, and the little lip so that you can put additional plants to suck in the light, because you're spending the money on the energy bill anyways. Might as well put some extra plants around the sides. I love that. Yeah. But overall, it looks great, man. What all additions have you added to the system since it started?
So when I started out, it was bare, just the container. Even like I was saying, the clay pellets. I had to keep adding clay pellets until I had enough. Like I started out with like 2 or 3 bags, and like I want more, and got it to the right level. And then the lights were next, and then I started like, you know, because I don't want too much moisture to come out from evaporation, so I had to put a lid on. I just bought this real cheap, cut it, and zip tied it, drill holes through it, use zip ties.
So is this polycarbonate, or where did you get this?
Yes,
from
I
Lowe's?
just bought it from basic, any department store, yeah, they sell it. And then this was just an add-on. I didn't like just staring at this container. Figuring out my own way of how I wanted to do it, I added lights in here, you know, just cheap and easy, whatever looks good to me. So I just kind of thought up ideas as I went and made it my own.
Without all the different things you added on, how much would it cost to get a system like this going?
Let's see, the bags of clay pellets are like $25, $30 a piece.
And there was about 4 or 5 bags? Is there
Yeah. And then also it depends on where you're at. So, but as far as everything together, I'd say, I mean, this was only like maybe $30.
Yeah, for the IBC container, it was like $50.
Yeah. So, and I did that because I didn't want to spend a lot of money, and I like the idea of it. But yeah, I'd say.
Quick side note. Oh God, what happened to my face? I'm just kidding. It's like a year later. But anyways, I built my own, and I did make a step-by-step tutorial video on exactly how to make one of these. So at the end of the video, go watch that on my channel, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to build one.
And you can go the cheap route, or you can, some things like the lights, you might want to spend a little more money on. So yeah, I'd say in between 200, maybe around $200.
$200?
That's probably a high side.
Yeah.
I'd put a lot more money into it than I really planned
Since
on.
then. Now customizing it and make it look the way that you want it to look, that has been probably, what do you say, over $500 or so?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. All up to you what you want to do. Do you want to make it this big extravagant thing, or do you want it just to be something that you can get food from?
So what have you learned about planting and harvesting in an aquaponics system?
Well, it all started actually not in aquaponics. It started when I did my first garden last year. I've always been into gardening and stuff like that, but I've never had my own. So that's where it started. Biggest thing is like, for me, don't overthink it. I overthink everything. So it's really simple. You put in the stuff, you get it ready. I'm sure you'll talk more about that. But then after that, like even seeds, I thought that I had to like start a seed separate and let it germinate and then put it in. No, you can just put seeds right in and let it grow.
So you just sprinkle the seeds in the system and then just see.
Them up. Yeah,
Wow.
I might put some water on at first, just like kind of activate them.
Cool.
But there's enough moisture coming up through. Like as soon as you touch those clay pellets and move them a little bit, they're moist. But yeah, just trial and error, and for the most part, there hasn't been much error. I thought there was going to be a lot of mess ups and mistakes, and there hasn't been. It's basically just tweaking.
What would you say is the key to not having any errors that you've had?
Be patient and take advice from people. Don't just like, because like me, I just wanted to rush everything, just put it all together and slap it up. And it's like, if you do that, you're going to have fish die.
Yep.
It's just things that you've taught me.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, basically.
Yeah, a huge key to getting everything off to the right start to avoid issues that you have down the line is by completing the nitrogen cycle. And I've got a video on that breaks down the nitrogen cycle, but getting a proper colony of bacteria grown is going to be the difference between having a system that constantly needs water changes and maintenance and a system like this where it essentially doesn't need anything other than just put more water.
No,
from
I
time to
haven't
time.
done any like prime or pH up or down. But yeah, fill it up, put your fish in, let that get ready, fill up, put your clay pellets in, let that get all ready, and then you just start planting, and from there, that's it. It's been very simple. I heard a lot of horror stories, and I go in the hydroponic shop and they're like, don't do aquaponics, it's too difficult, and it really hasn't been.
Yeah.
So that scared me. A lot of times I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this, but pulling the trigger on it was probably the best thing I did.
Cool.
So, yeah.
The only science behind aquaponics really is developing proper bacteria colonies. And if you know how to do that, then aquaponics is going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, don't let the fancy words scare you.
Yeah,
either. It's
exactly.
like when I hear all that, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but yeah, you learn about it. You definitely do research, and if you enjoy doing something like this, you're gonna do research on it. You're gonna learn about it. Over time, you learn more and more, and you enjoy learning about it. So.
Okay, so what's the family think about the system? Pre it being installed and then after it being installed?
So I told my wife, hey, I'm really wanting to do an aquaponics system or some kind of way to grow. After the whole coronavirus, and it was like slim pickings at the grocery store, I'm like, I want something that I can get at home if I need to. I still have to add in tilapia or some kind of edible fish. I haven't gotten over that part yet, but I told her I was going to do it, and then one day she came home, and Eric and I had like the basic, setup. We had it all in place, and she's like,
"Deer for the headlights."
Yeah, it was funny, but it's definitely grown on her. There's been times where I haven't been home, and she's fed the fish, and just when you come down here, it gives you something to look at. It's different for sure, but it's all about what you want out of it. Do you just want pets? You want fish, or do you want? For me, it was about having what I needed to take care of my family if something happens. Also, if not, you still have it there. Like, it's easy for me. Like on one of your videos, it made me crack up. You're like, who can just reach beyond them and grab what they want right out of their home and eat it. That's what I like about having a garden. But we have winter, so throughout the winter, I constantly have food. I've had cherry tomato plants and just tons of stuff, cucumbers, lettuce that I can just throw into a salad and make, and I have it then.
And it's all organic and no GMOs,
exactly.
No pesticides.
The other thing is like this spring I'm going to have a lot bigger garden, so for me I can start stuff in here, and when the time comes I can just put it outside. I don't have to go to the store and buy plants. I have them ready to go. It's a lot cheaper to buy seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it feels better to do it yourself than to buy it from the store.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, cool. So what have been your favorite plants that you've I know you've been cycling a couple different types of plants, trying to figure out what you like and what makes sense and what grows the best. What have you found has been the most beneficial plants in your aquaponics system?
Lettuce for sure, just because you can get a lot with lettuce. You can, make a salad, whatever. So for that, the one thing I have learned is instead of just planting all your seeds at once, start some and then maybe next week do a little more, and then that way you have a rotation going instead of it all coming up at once and then you've got all this lettuce and you just have to like eat a bunch of salads. But also the cherry tomatoes, because they go great with salad, stuff like that. They're just great. Like down here, you're down here like checking out your fish, feeding them, working on the system, and you're popping cherry tomatoes in your mouth and eating them, and they're great. I mean, they taste better than store-bought. And then also I did like some peppers, and I'm like, what am I going to do with these serrano peppers? I ended up making a hot sauce with them. So it was great. It was actually, I gave them to people for a Christmas gift. So,
really?
Like my dad likes hot sauce, so I'm like, here you go. So a lot cheaper than going and buying a bottle of hot sauce. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Have you had any issues with the system? Anything that you'd like for people to know as they're starting their system that you would have done differently now that it's down the line?
Yes, there is one thing. Like I said, it wasn't a major issue. I thought it was, but it wasn't. I had a buildup of algae. So I started my system, and then it was ready for plants. And so one thing I was told is don't go buy plants from any nursery or whatever, because you risk having bugs or diseases. Don't take plants from outside and bring them in. You can, but you just got to be really careful. I think you're better off just starting from seed. So basically what I did is I got some cherry tomato plants when I started, and a pepper plant, green peppers, and I put them in here, and I think the green pepper plant had aphids. So I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? So I tried to save it. I read a bunch of different things, like spray it with soap water. You know, there's a bunch of different things. There's actually, there is something specifically that'll help with that, but you got to be careful about your fish. You can't put stuff in that's going to kill the fish. Yeah. So I ended up eventually taking the stuff out, and then I was making sure that I didn't have aphids in the system, stuff like that, which it ended up being fine. But then I didn't have plants in there, so I started getting all this algae build up. Oh, gotcha. And then from there, I kept trying to clean it, and then eventually I cleaned it. I added in plants. I did get some, what are the sucker fish?
Some plecos.
Yeah, plecos. Yep. And now since then it's been crystal clear. Cool. But I also have a ton of, I have a lot more plants in there now. I've probably got 20 tomato plants started in there at least. So
what do you plan on doing with the tomato plants now that we're coming on the spring?
Outside. These things are going to get huge. They're already getting too big. Once I have, like, summertime's coming, spring, summer, I'm going to have a bunch of plants outside. And then I'm going to put stuff in here that that are smaller. Like, even if I just do herbs. Right now I've got dill, basil, also, let's see, the other one is cilantro. Those are small things, easy to grow. Lettuce, also, just cherry tomatoes. So I definitely would recommend just smaller things, because I'm going to be moving everything outside. Tomato plants get big, so I'm just starting them so that I can move them outside and grow them in my beds. So definitely smaller things like cherry tomatoes. Even they have like small pepper plants. I know you said they work really good in your system. Lettuce. I'm doing a lot of herbs. So right now I have cilantro, basil, dill. These are things that I can grow inside. They don't take up much room while I have everything else that's bigger growing outside. But throughout the winter time, I definitely have this thing filled with things that do get a little bit bigger, just because I can't grow them outside. But to me, that's one of the key things about this. In Ohio, we can't grow year-round outside, so.
Alright guys, if you found this valuable, please give me a like and subscribe. I told myself that if this video gets 10,000 views in the first 6 months that it's on YouTube, I will get better equipment. I have heard some of the advice. Thank you. I know I need to get better audio and video equipment. Help me do that. Just give me a like and give me a comment. Share this video with a couple friends that you think it would find it interesting. And guys, I thank you for being part of this channel, and I am so excited for the monster plans that I have moving forward. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Head on over to the channel, check out some of the other videos. I got some exciting things coming out. video for my color changing background monster African cichlid tank. Baby discus are just thriving so well. They've really taken off, and the rest of the aquaponics system over here is doing great. And you don't even know about my bare bottom epoxy glow in the dark substrate tank. Yeah, it looks really cool. So head on over to the channel, check out some of those. I got some other things in the works, and guys, let's do it ourselves.